Week 10 is upon us. Do you want to win? Do you want to win big? We'll help you here with our running back tiers for Week 10. Kraig, who do we got at the RB1 overall? Obviously, we have some question marks. CMC coming with the injury front. Dalvin Cook with the recent news of potential off-field drama. I'm not terribly concerned about Dalvin for this week. How do you feel about guys coming off injuries or having news like Dalvin Cook?
Week 10, I don't think it matters for Dalvin. I don't think it sounds like the NFL is going to do anything right now with the information we currently have. Of course, something could come out and create uncertainty for you down the road, but right now, I don't think we have. And McCaffrey, he was back last week. He had 14 rushes and 5 targets for 4 receptions. With week 1 back, it seemed like they eased him in a little bit, which felt smart. They're probably going to be ramping him up, and he has a good matchup going against, I think it's Arizona this week.
Well, especially with a new quarterback. They just re-signed Cam Newton and all.
Yeah, I don't think Newton probably plays this week by the sound of it. Maybe, who knows, but it is a new coaching staff that he hasn't dealt with and stuff before, and he would have to get up to speed, probably on new terminology and all that. So if I had to guess, it's probably PJ Walker this week. But either way, I think, to your point, McCaffrey will have a big workload.
Top 6 overall, and really, quite honestly, to your point a little bit earlier, and these guys could be RB1 overall conversation. Any one of these 3 could do it with the way the teams use them. I don't really know there's much to add to these guys. They're all pretty solid plays. DeAndre's got Pittsburgh, which should be a good PPR matchup for him in the case of receptions. How do you feel about the top 6 of these 3 guys?
The only one that I have a real potential concern with is Aaron Jones, given what we saw if Rodgers doesn't play, and even he indicated there is that small chance that he won't because he can't get cleared, I think, until Saturday. Right. He knows the system. It's Aaron Rodgers. He could probably wake up an hour before game time and go out and play and be fine. It's just a matter of, is he cleared and does he actually end up playing? Because as we saw last week, they used a lot of A.J. Dillon, and Aaron Jones just didn't do well with that offense as a whole, not doing well. Seattle is a really good matchup for opposing running backs, so I do think that he still could have a good game, even if it is Jordan Love, just based on how well Seattle's done against the run. But certainly this is Aaron Rodgers based for Aaron Jones. We're assuming right now that Aaron Rodgers is probably playing with this ranking. We didn't pull the team on all the hypothetical possibilities, of course, but I do think most of us would probably think it may drop him a little bit from that upside.
Yeah, I still think it gives him RB1 upside, but I'm not super concerned really no matter who the quarterback is. I know he had a rough week last week against KC with Jordan Love at the helm. I don't see that being a regular weekly occurrence with him. I feel like he could do well no matter who the quarterback is against Seattle. So who are the RB1s this week? These are all pretty safe RB1 plays in my mind. James Conner, now that Chase Edmonds is injured, he was playable and probably a high-end RB2 most weeks anyway, even with Edmonds. So the increased workload, and you'll see Eno Benjamin get involved, but it feels like the Connor show at this point. And he's looked good all season. He's done well in this offense. Any concerns with the RB1 tier other than injuries, really?
Henderson has been seeing fewer touches the past few weeks. It's been going down, whether it's because of how the game's going or them just wanting to use up on his workload. I'm not completely sure. We had talked as a team, I know, about him possibly being higher up here. We've seen that, I think, on different weeks. But if Michelle's going to eat into his workload, certainly that has to be taken into consideration. So he does have that upside to fall in here. And the same thing with Tampa Bay. We've seen Fournette be the guy there as of late, but you always run that chance of shenanigans with others getting involved there, whether because of how the game goes or
make somebody mad,
changing his mind in the middle of the game or whatever it is. It's not a situation where I think that you're going to see them trailing to Washington and going to have to be just completely abandoning the run to throw the ball. Stranger things have happened, of course, this season, but I think he belongs up in there based on what he's done recently and how they're using that running game.
And if that happens now, everybody's going to come back to this video and roast you for jinxing everybody, if you believe in jinxing.
And if that does happen, please come back and post tons of comments on this video complaining about my jinx.
Comment on everything. All right, who's the RB2s? Of this list, obviously we know Carson's coming back from the neck injury, so pay attention to the injury report. He may or may not be on the field, depending on how the practice goes. What we noticed today is that he's supposed to be back on the practice field, but keep an eye out on that. Devonta Freeman's an interesting one because I think he's come on there in Baltimore and done probably the best of any of the running backs. I know Murray's been injured, obviously, but Devonta looks pretty good in that offense. I was unsure about whether to fire up my Devonta Freeman share in a pinch this week against Miami, but I feel like I'm going to do it and feel pretty good about it. And what do you think about the RB2 tier? And then what do you think about that situation for Freeman?
It does feel like, if you consider Lamar their default running back one for just rushing yards, Freeman of those named running backs feels like he's going to be the main guy there. So I do like him. I do think this is a good spot for him as far as where he falls into and a good spot for production. Michael Carter gives me a little hesitation just based on how last week went and the fact that they're going up against Buffalo. He does have that potential for a lot of catches in PPR leagues. It's probably where he's going to have to get you most of his points because Buffalo just is not giving up a lot of points to running backs this year. So that is a bit of a concern to me. The PPR upside potential of McKissic, if that game starts to get out of control, we're going to have to throw the ball a lot against Washington. Certainly, I think normally when they're both healthy, we've seen McKissic a little bit lower than Gibson, but with that situation potential, I can see it. Same thing with AJ Dillon. The past few weeks, he's been getting a lot more rushes, and he's showing well for Green Bay just with how he's running when he's given the opportunity. So it might be a little bit high for him, but I do like him personally.
Yeah. All right. So who are our flex plays then this week? If Chubb and Felton are on COVID IR this weekend and they can't play, would you have to pay attention because they're both vaccinated? So as long as they get 2 negative tests by Saturday, they can play. Dearness Johnson will easily vault himself up. That could have a much better production than where we've got him tiered right now. But otherwise, what do you think of this group?
So I don't like the Buffalo running backs at all. Even in situations where they've been up, they just aren't running a ton with those guys. And they've been using Cole Beasley as a de facto running back and wide receiver type where they're just doing really short dink and dunk throws to him as opposed to running the ball. So I'm not the biggest fan of them. Gaskin is a decent matchup. Again, it's Baltimore Thursday night. So we'll see how that goes. Dearness Johnson really is interesting to me because he was seeing run with that second running back, even if Chubb is healthy. So I do think this is where he falls into if Chubb is going to play. And to your point, if Chubb isn't playing, he's going to vault up into that closer to RB1 conversation. I don't think Felton really is going to play a factor either way. He's not been getting as much in terms of touches, playing time, any of it with Dearness showing up again. Collins, really is dependent a lot on Carson who touched on. So make sure you're paying attention to that.
Injury report this time of year is critical. All right, finish this out. What are we doing at sleepers? Remember, week 10, Bears, Bengals, Texans, Giants are on bye. So if there's a running back not on here that isn't those guys, comment below and let us know what we're missing or why you think they need to be there. This is obviously our tiers, our rankings based on our consensus, the team here at rotoheat.com. That being said, the sleeper tier is terrifying. What can you trust here? Maybe Mike Davis, Ty Johnson for some PPR value. I mean, now it's the who's who of Jets, Jaguars, Eagles, and 49ers running backs. I don't know if there's really anything super trustworthy here. What do you think, Kraig?
I like Brandon Bolden out of this group. The fact that he sort of is the receiving guy there with the Patriots. We've seen the Browns put up some points as of late. If they start throwing the ball more, I think that gives Brandon Bolden more of an opportunity. But he also, like last week, ran the ball 8 times for 54 yards, so he's getting some more use there. I do like out of the running backs, probably Jordan Howard, just because he's been getting that goal line work the past 2 weeks with a complete reversal the past 2 weeks that Philadelphia has done from going completely pass heavy to run heavy. He's got 12 attempts for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns, 17 attempts for 71 and a touchdown. Feels uncomfortable doing that because of the number of running backs they use. Jalen Hurts running the ball, and then is this just going to be what they're doing? To me, the past 2 weeks kind of indicate, look, this is how the team wants to be moving forward. They've been competitive doing it, and I think that Howard's sort of going to be that short yardage goal line type of guy. So I feel comfortable with him. And one of these guys for Tennessee will end up mattering here. It's just a matter of what happens in the game. And you're going against New Orleans. Are they going to keep it close? With Peterson and then some Dante Foreman thrown in there. Does Foreman maybe take over? McNichols does seem to be the PPR guy, but how much use does that have going forward with having the other 2 running backs? And it's not just the McNichols show. Last week, it wasn't a whole lot. He had a couple catches and 24 rushing yards. So there's a lot of unknowns, but I think some of these situations are a little bit more clear than others.
Yeah, and with Foreman had 5 carries for, almost like 30 yards. He was averaging close to 6 yards a carry with a little bit of opportunity he had last week against the Rams. It would not surprise me that if Foreman finally becomes a thing the rest of this season. If you watch the Wednesday night, for any of the folks at home, if you watch the Wednesday night, I know Cody and I have banged the drum for Foreman a couple times since King Henry is hurt. Don't be surprised. I know we don't have him on here. It wouldn't surprise me if he replaces Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson is a solid running back and will be a Hall of Famer someday. Adrian Peterson now is different than Adrian Peterson 5-6 years ago. So that's it, folks. This is your tiers for the week. Hopefully it helps you guys. If you're doing DFS stuff, check us out on TikTok. Just search Roto Heat. You're going to see all of our plays. We've been players that we're telling you to play in FanDuel and Prize Picks and some of our other partners. Keep it locked in here with us, rotoheat.com. We'll see you guys later.